the Post Newspaper Podcast, your community news.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming back to the podcast. My special guest today is Laura Michaelides from the Gulf Coast Cruinniu, which is an Irish music and dance meeting, is what that means. And I had her come on to talk about the event that's coming up at the end of May. So first, Laura, good to have you.
Nice to be here. Thank you very much.
Very good. And second, let's talk about the event. So let's talk about the history of this, because a lot of people watching this may not be familiar with what all that means and what you guys do. So let's go back in time a little bit and talk about the origins of the event in the Houston area.
Sure. So about 5 years ago, a bunch of musicians and enthusiasts of Irish traditional music got together and said, wouldn't it be fabulous if we could bring some really first-rate musicians, Irish traditional musicians, to the Houston area to teach and to perform and to share this wonderful music that we all love. And a bunch of them, and specifically Sean Kaysen, who's our director, and Larry Mallet, who's a longtime musician, very accomplished Irish flute player, started this idea and kind of nursed it, brought it up. 5 years later, we're still going strong. It's been getting larger every year, and it takes place every year at the University of St. Thomas near downtown Houston.
Okay. Now, how long have you been involved, Laura?
I have known this group of people, I suppose, over about the last 5 or 6 years, but I didn't really get heavily involved until this year because my work schedule previously was so hectic that doing the kind of effort required, I just wasn't available. But this year, when I became more available, I took on the role of handling marketing and promotion.
Okay. Now, how did you get involved with the Irish music scene? Are you a musician yourself?
I am, and I'll try to make a long story short because
Okay.
these things can go on long. But I actually started when I was a teenager playing more in the realm of old time and bluegrass. I was in a band when I was in high school. We did a little bit of traveling. I got to college. I did some recording, but it was all sort of in the old time music arena. Fast forward, 2 babies, not a lot of time, a big job, and just I didn't play music for about 20 years. And about, I want to say 6 years ago, my husband and I were up in Mid-Coast, Maine, happened upon an Irish music session, and it just rekindled it. And I got back into this new genre of music. And my husband and I have been kind of going strong and big enthusiasts kind of ever since. So
Okay. And so
yeah,
what kind of instruments do you both play, or do you just
we
or do you
both
just
play.
play?
Yeah,
You-
we both play. I
Okay.
play, I started on the guitar, and I also play now tenor banjo, and my husband plays mandolin. So we're kind of a string instrument family here.
Now, how did you find it adapting the music tradition that you were used to playing years and years ago to the Irish music tradition?
That's a really interesting question, actually, and something I've given a lot of thought to. There were things that were similar about it, and things that were similar about the kind of tunes you play, but style-wise, it's quite different. And so, whereas I was very, very proficient in playing behind bluegrass, accompanying bluegrass and old time music, it required that I retool how I use my right hand. And so it really
Okay.
was like a fairly long adaptation.
Hmm. So it's not
Yeah,
just a matter of I can play bluegrass and it's 4/4 time maybe, and I just switch to a reel in the Irish tradition. It's not that easy.
no, it's really different. It's surprisingly different. And I find it more creative, actually. There's more leeway with backup in the Irish tradition.
And it's interesting because a lot of that folk music and that originates from Appalachia came from much earlier Irish music tradition when the immigrants came down. But over the years, it's obviously diverged into its own style. So I guess it's diverged enough where some of the elements are different. So it's interesting.
Yes, I think that that's really true. And I think that we can very reasonably say, and there's a lot written about this, that the music of Appalachia, the music of the American South, was enriched by traditions of Africa and African American culture. And the two cultures morphing together are what really allowed bluegrass, the improvisational aspects of bluegrass. It's where we get clogging and other forms of tap dancing, things like that. So there's a lot written about that. But the Irish music has stayed, I think, closer to the original traditions.
Okay. And so for this year's event, talk about the scheduling and what might people expect. And is it something that people can participate in, or do they just go and watch? Talk about that.
So there are many ways to be involved in the Gulf Coast Cruinniu. So for musicians and introductory musicians, starting musicians, the Gulf Coast Cruinniu is an event that's starting on Thursday night, May 30th, and it's starting off with a big session at the Penny Whistle Pub. And if you sign up, you register for one of those classes, you would start Thursday night and be intensely immersed in the music all the way through the end of the day on Sunday, which is June 2nd. And the classes that are being offered this year, there are 11 classes this year, and we are bringing in instructors from all over the country, and one of our instructors is coming in from Ireland. And these instructors are the very, very top, most fantastic. These instructors are like gods to people who play this music. So some of the instruments are, we've got 2 fiddle classes, an introduction to fiddle class, a more advanced fiddle class. We've got 2 baron classes. That's the Irish drum. So we've got an intro, and we've also got a more advanced. We've got whistle, tenor banjo and mandolin, Irish harp. We've got flute, Irish flute, the wooden flute, Ullin pipes, which are sort of small. They're not the big Highland pipes, the smaller pipes that are handheld, and they use your kind of elbow to bring air into the pipe. A dadgad guitar, which is a tuning that's very suited to Irish music. And that's it. That's all of them. So if you're a musician, you're going to get first, 3 full days of excellent instruction, small classes, and just a very friendly atmosphere. Now, if you're not a musician and you want to participate, there are 2 public events. One of them is a ceilidh, which is an Irish dance for people who don't know. And dances will be taught, so you can come no matter what level of dancer you are. We're going to have an absolutely killer band because some of these fine instructors are going to be playing the music, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's one thing that's open to the public. You can just buy entry at the door. It's $10 a ticket to come in, and it's at the University of St. Thomas. It's at the Crooker Center, which is like their student center at the Celt Cafe. So it's going to be a lovely, lovely event. And then the other public event is the big blowout all-star concert, excuse me. And all of these musicians will be playing, and it will be, every year it's incredibly exciting. We've got such a lineup this year of such stellar musicians. It's a very exciting event.
Laura, talk about the Irish music scene in Houston. I know you and I would be very, very familiar with where a lot of the goings on happen, and it's changed over the years. Some of the places remain, and so there's been new places come and go. But for people listening to this podcast or reading the accompanying story, they may not know a lot, but we may have piqued their interest a little bit as far as where can we go and experience this other than this one event that they may or may not be able to attend. So, in
Yes,
your own words, discuss the Irish music scene in the area.
sure. So the Irish music scene here in Houston is a wonderful scene. Um, every week there are 3 sessions that take place in the Houston area. And for those people who don't know what a session is, it's an informal gathering of musicians who come together for the sole purpose of playing tunes together, Irish tunes together, and socializing and drinking beer, and generally having a good time. So the 3 sessions that take place in your area, in the Bay Area, is the Chelsea, I think it's a wine bar, is what
Chelsea
it's called.
Wine Bar, yes.
Bar. And every Monday evening, on the second floor, a group of musicians get together. Many of them are from the Bay Area, but some of the musicians from downtown Houston also come and join in. So that's one. On Wednesday at the Mucky Duck, this is probably the longest standing session that's gone on. I mean, I've been aware of it. I've been in Houston about 25 years now. And as long as I've been here, I have been aware of the Wednesday night session. And, you know, the Mucky Duck is a lovely place. You can go, you can have a fine dinner there, you can drink a beer and hear music, you know, and that night, you know, there's no cover to hear the music, and it's lovely. And then finally, on Sunday at the Penny Whistle, which is on Penny Whistle Pub on Richmond, which is actually not far from the University of St. Thomas. We have a lovely session there too. And it's a great place to, you can hear the music, you can drink a beer. And also notable is that during the Cruinniu, both on Thursday night when the event starts, and then finishing off on Sunday, well, actually also Saturday night after the concert and Sunday night, all 3 times there will be big sessions of all the people who are coming from all over the country, really, for the Cruinniu to learn from these great musicians.
Okay. Now, talk about opportunities for people to learn Irish music in the Houston area.
Yes, wonderful. So there is a Houston School of Irish Music. Larry Mallett, who I mentioned before, who's one of our longtime musicians here, started this school. I don't even know how many years ago it is, but if you look up online, the Houston School of Irish Music, you'll see the website, and both children and adults can take classes in many of the instruments that are used in Irish music. And that's a great way to get started. And then what's also nice, but really nice, is because the lessons are usually Sunday afternoon, many of the students come directly from their lessons to the Penny Whistle pub and join in at that Sunday afternoon session and get a lot of practice and get the experience of the format of a session and the camaraderie of the session.
Okay. Things that people maybe need to keep in mind if they have an interest in learning this music form, and like yourself, they maybe have had a previous music experience, but they don't know what Irish music might be like. Is it something they can pick up? Is it something not worth their time? What would be some, I guess, tips and things to keep in mind from one musician to another musician who may be listening to this?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. You know, I think at some point people will be exposed to Irish music, and there's a lot available online, right? But however you come to the music, you discover that you enjoy it, you like listening to it, and you're curious about playing it. I would say some of the most important things are A, it's a big body of music, but that listening, especially at the beginning, but always listening to a lot of people playing and sort of having the tunes in your head. And the other thing is, I would say is, it's a joy. And so it'll take whatever time it takes. Don't get discouraged. Play with other people. It's a tradition. It's a learning tradition. It's a living, learning tradition. People come to it, they play at all different levels. And that's the beauty of the thing. You can be a beginner and you work at it and you become part of this larger effort. And it's a lovely thing. It's a lovely way to meet people. The other thing that happens is that there are schools and camps that take place all over the country. Ours, the Gulf Coast Cruinniu is sort of at the beginning of, I want to say, the whole season. But there are other ones, like there's Cruinniu-Festival that takes place in North Carolina. That's a week of learning, and there's Acadia Trad Week, and there's O'Flaherty. And at each of these places, you start to see a lot of the same faces, and you get to continue that process of learning. And that's
Okay.
really nice.
That's
I
awesome.
hope that answers the question.
It does. That's very good. Now, I've been on the dancing side of this for many years,
Yes.
and the music side because I've always, as I was telling you before the interview, uh, danced a lot in sessions and worked with some of the musicians in productions around the Houston Galveston area. And the one thing I've always thought was interesting about the music side is there's a lot of camaraderie. It's not very hard to get a group of people together and go play, whether they're practicing in a session or they're doing a gig or some kind of production. Unfortunately, that cohesion and sense of cooperation in the dance community is woefully lacking.
Mm,
What do you attribute to that sense of camaraderie and community in the Irish music group?
that's a really interesting question. And I have to admit that I don't know a whole lot about the dance community,
Hmm.
but in my sense of things, what what is the cohesive um, aspect of the Irish music community is that there seems to be an ethos of, it's a little bit what I was talking about before, that this is a living folk tradition. And the only way that it continues is through the desire to teach those traditions to other people, be they children, and or be them they people who have already retired from careers and have always loved the music and now have time to pursue it. There is an ethos of that, and I think you can see it in these schools and camps that have evolved. And you'll see people like, for instance, I'll give you a for instance. Cruinniu-Festival happens to be a camp that is a full week. So there's a lot more sort of time to fit things in. And you'll see that there'll be sessions running. There'll be a beginner session, an intermediate session, an advanced session, sort of a knowledge that people are, at different places, but wherever you are, there will be excellent instructors helping people along. So that's what I attribute to it,
Hmm.
is this ethos of learning, which is quite striking to me, having come to it, in the last 6 years or so. It's quite striking.
Okay. I think one reason that I find myself performing by myself in many sessions over the years and never having to worry about bumping into fellow dancers from other parts of the town. It's a lot nice to have that big stage, but man, I would love to have people up there dancing with us. Like I
Yeah.
wish we had the cohesion you guys have. Uh, Irish dancing over the years has been trying to rebrand itself as a sport in the competitive,
Ah,
yes, in the competitive Irish dancing world, which I'm a little bit removed from. We do competitions, but they're very few and far between. Most Irish dance schools are trying to push it as a sport because it's very competitive, and perhaps that's that competitiveness that comes with sports, competitiveness between groups, and this is my group and your group and all that kind of stuff. My speculation alone, but I sure would like to see a lot more dancing out at these sessions, because I don't know if you know Gerald Norris or not.
Yes, I do. Yes, we used to be in session with him before he moved. Yeah.
Yes, I loved that guy, and I remember
Yes.
having a talk with him one night at the old coffee shop down in Clear Lake. Larry's going to say, you know the name of that place. I've forgotten that it's closed down now, but Coffee Oasis. Anyway, we were talking one night, and I said, describe, the sense of Irish music, and like, why does it seem so exciting and happy to listen to? And he said, it's dance music. It's always been dance music.
Mm.
And I feel the same way when I hear that music. Maybe it's because I'm a dancer. I just think jig, reel, hornpipe, whatever,
Yes.
whatever it is.
Yes.
I really do wish I'm hoping over the year, the years to come, that there's more of a dancing music involvement. I would like to see those two fraternities come together and do a little bit more in the public, and kind of put all the competition, leave it in the school, but on the weekends, let's go have fun together.
That's lovely. I mean, one thing that I can say is I see at a lot of the music camps, Sean-nós dancing
Right.
being taught. And Sean-nós, obviously, for people who don't know it, is more like akin to Appalachian clogging.
Right.
And it isn't more, it's often improvisatory, and it's like a single person dancing. So I don't know, I think maybe Sean-nós dancing, or it seems like from a person who doesn't dance, might be a way to get into that sort of camaraderie that's less competitive, but that's just a thought. That's just
right.
harebrained thought.
Yeah. And those two styles diverge quite a bit, because most of us in the contemporary, what we would call ourselves contemporary Irish dance world, would look at Sean-nós a little differently. It's just a completely different style, and that's where clogging came from and all that kind of stuff. But I do see that a little bit more in the pub, and I wish my fellow contemporary Irish dancers would come out and let's show what we do, because it's exciting to watch. But
it is exciting to watch. Yeah. I mean, the dance is wonderful.
Yes, it is. So for people who want to learn more, whether they want to come and watch or participate in the Cruinniu, where's the best place for them to find that information, Laura?
Yeah, so we've got a website, and it's www.gulfcoastirish.org. And all the information about the event is there, as well as the public parts of the event, the concert and the ceilidh.
Okay.
And sure hope some of your listeners are able to join us. It will be wonderful. I will say the concert requires you to go online to get your ticket beforehand. The ceilidh, you can go the day of and just go in and pay at the door.
Okay. Well, I would encourage anyone that's listening or reading this accompanying story to go out as well, because I anything I can do to support the music, I'm always going to do that. So I hope you guys get so many people. You need to get a bigger venue. So
thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
No problem. Thanks for coming on, Laura, and sharing not just your own experiences, but a preview of what people can expect at the Cruinniu. And like I say, all the best success to you and everyone involved.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me on.
If you enjoyed this video, consider supporting our effort to share the news in print and on our extensive website, and now on our new YouTube channel. Contact publisher David Day at area code 409-943-4265 to support the Post newspaper today.